Therapadana.
The Legends of the Theras. Sereyya chapter the 13th. 121. Sereyya. I was a learned mantra knower, who had mastered the 3 Vedas. While standing in the open air, I saw the leader of the world, wandering the woods like a lion, untrembling like a tiger king, the great sage like an elephant, Amtaga in 3-fold rut. Picking up some jasmine flowers, I tossed them up into the air. By the power of the Buddha, they fully surrounded him there. The great hero stood unmoving, the world leader, omniscient one. On all sides they scattered flowers, thus covering the bowl of men. There a canopy of flowers, with stems inside and blossoms out, having covered him for a week, afterward then disappeared. And having seen that miracle, marvel making hair stand on end, I pleased my heart in the Buddha, the well-gone one, the world leader. Due to that pleasure in my heart, incited by my wholesome roots, for 100,000 eons, I've come to know no bad rebirth. In the 15,000th aeon, there were 5 more than 20 men, will turning kings with great power, all known as Sanamala then, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Sereyya Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Sereyya Thera is finished. 122. Pupphathūpiya. In the Himalayan region, there's a mountain named Lambaka. I was dwelling at its center, a Brahmin master of mantras. At that time 5,000 students were constantly surrounding me. They all rose earlier than I, and were likewise skilled in mantras. Teacher, you should know the fact that Buddha has been born in the world, bearing 32 great marks and 80 lesser marks upon him. The aura of the best victor, fathom wide, shines just like the sun. After hearing his students' words, the Brahmin master of mantras, setting out from his own ashram, then asked directions. That Brahmin, in which region is he living? The great hero, the world leader? I will worship that direction. And the victor without rival, and happy with a happy heart, I will worship the thus gone one. Come now, you students, let us go. Let us see him, the thus gone one. Having worshipped the teacher's feet, we will hear his dispensation. One day after I had set out, I contracted a bad illness. I laid down beneath a sal tree, in great pain due to that illness. Assembling all the students then, I asked them questions in this way. Of what sort is the virtue of the world's Lord, the Supreme Buddha? Then questioned by me they explained the best Buddha most thoroughly, as well as they could see him then, and showed him to me face to face. After hearing the students' words, I brought my own heart pleasure then. Having built a floral stupa, I passed away right on the spot. They, after burning my body, came into the Buddha's presence. Pressing hands together for him, they all worshipped the teacher then. Having made a floral stupa, for the well-gone one, the great sage, for 100,000 eons, I've come to know no bad rebirth. In the 40,000th aeon, there were 16 Kshatriyan men. All were known as Ajasama, will turning kings with great power. In the 20,000th aeon, 38 rulers of the earth were kings who turned the wheel of law, and all were named Gadasana, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Pupphathūpiya Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Pupphathūpiya Thera is finished. 123. Paṭāsadāyaka. I saw the golden Sambuddha, bearing the 32 great marks, honored by the monks' assembly, who was leaving the forest then. Overjoyed I then arranged for milk rice served in a bowl of bronze. Wishing to offer sacrifice, I presented this offering. The Buddha living at that time, the world's best one, the bull of men, had well ascended a walkway, in the wind's path up in the sky, and having seen that miracle, marvel making hair stand on end, placing down that bowl made of bronze. I worshipped Vipassī right then. You are the God, omniscient one, over the gods as well as men. Having taken pity on me, please accept this food, O great sage. Discerning what I was thinking, the teacher, great sage in the world, the blessed one, omniscient one, the world leader accepted it. In the 91 eons since, I gave him that alms food back then. I've come to know no bad rebirth. That is the fruit of some milk rice. In the 41st aeon hence, I was a ruler named Buddha, a wheel turner with great power, possessor of the 7 gems, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Paṭāsadāyaka Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Paṭāsadāyaka Thera is finished. 124. Gandhadayika. Sitting in my superb palace, I saw the victor Vipassī, splendid like an Arjuna tree, the omniscient one, undefiled. As the world leader went across the area near the palace, his aura spread out everywhere, as though that light came from the sun, taking up some perfumed water. I sprinkled the best Buddha then, and with that pleasure in my heart, I passed away right on the spot. In the 91 eons since, I sprinkled that perfumed water. I've come to know no bad rebirth. That's the fruit of Buddha Puja. In the 31st aeon hence, the Kshatriyan named Sugandha was a wheel turner with great strength, possessor of the 7 gems, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Gandhadayika Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Gandhadayika Thera is finished. 125. Samukhathavika. When Vipassī Buddha was born, I interpreted the omens. A Buddha is born in the world. He'll make people reach nirvana. And when that one was being born, the 10,000 world system quaked. Now that blessed one, the teacher, Eiffel One, is preaching Dhamma. And when that one was being born, there was a vast effulgence there. Now that blessed one, the teacher, Eiffel One, is preaching Dhamma. And when that one was being born, all the rivers then stopped flowing. Now that blessed one, the teacher, Eiffel One, is preaching Dhamma. And when that one was being born, all the fires of hell stopped burning. Now that blessed one, the teacher, Eiffel One, is preaching Dhamma. And when that one was being born, all the flocks of birds stopped flying. Now that blessed one, the teacher, Eiffel One, is preaching Dhamma. And when that one was being born, the powerful winds stopped blowing. Now that blessed one, the teacher, Eiffel One, is preaching Dhamma. And when that one was being born, all the gemstones were glistening. Now that blessed one, the teacher, Eiffel One, is preaching Dhamma. And when that one was being born, his first 7 steps were taken. Now that blessed one, the teacher, Eiffel One, is preaching Dhamma. And when the Sambuddha was born, he surveyed all the directions. And then he spoke majestic words. That is the nature of Buddhas. After he made people feel moved, and I had praised the world leader, having worshipped the Sambuddha, I departed facing the east. In the 91 eons since, I praised the Buddha in that way. I've come to know no bad rebirth. That is the fruit of praising him. In the 90th aeon hence, the king Samukhathavika was a wheel turner with great strength, possessor of the 7 gems. In the 89th aeon hence, the king Pupphathūpiya was a wheel turner with great strength, possessor of the 7 gems. In the 88th aeon hence, the king named Abhasamita was a wheel turner with great strength, possessor of the 7 gems. In the 87th aeon, the king Therapadana was a wheel turner with great strength, possessor of the 7 gems. In the 86th aeon hence, the king Agnipappana was a wheel turner with great strength, possessor of the 7 gems. In the 85th aeon hence,
King Rayavatasama
was a wheel-turner with great strength, possessor of the 7 gems. In the 84th aeon hence, the king Gandhapupphiya was a wheel-turner with great strength, possessor of the 7 gems. In the 83rd aeon hence, the king Ratanapajala was a wheel-turner with great strength, possessor of the 7 gems. In the 82nd aeon, the king Padapūjaka was a wheel-turner with great strength, possessor of the 7 gems. In the 81st aeon hence, the king Rajavilokana was a wheel-turner with great strength, possessor of the 7 gems. In the 80th aeon hence, the king known as Hirasara was a wheel-turner with great strength, possessor of the 7 gems, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Samukhathavika Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Samukhathavika Thera is finished. 126. Kusumāsaniya. In the city, Dhanavadi, I was a Brahmin at that time, a master of the 3 Vedas, well versed in marks and history, the dictionaries and poetry, also skilled in reading omens, an erudite grammarian. I taught mantras to my students. At that time I'd placed on the road 5 handfuls of lotus flowers, wishing to offer sacrifice for my mother and my father. The blessed one then, Vipassī, honored by the monks' assembly, the bull of men went near me then, lighting up every direction. Having invited the great sage, I appointed a seat for him, then spreading out those flowers there, I led him up to my own house. Whatever I had in my house, alms food which I had been given, I gave all that to the Buddha, feeling well pleased by my own hands. Discerning when his meal was done, I gave 1 handful of flowers, giving thanks the omniscient one, then departed facing the north. In the 91 eons since, I gave him that flower back then. I've come to know no bad rebirth. That's the fruit of giving flowers. In an intervening aeon, I was King Varadasana, a wheel-turner with great power, possessor of the 7 gems, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Kusumāsaniya Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Kusumāsaniya Thera is finished. 127. Phaladāyaka. I was a learned mantra knower, who had mastered the 3 Vedas. I lived in an ashram back then, not far from the Himalayas. I had offerings for the fire, and some white lotus fruits as well. Having placed these in a bag, I'd hung them on the top of a tree. Pajamudara, world knower, sacrificial recipient, with a wish for my upliftment, came up to me while begging alms, happy and with a happy heart, producing supreme joyfulness, conveying pleasure to the world. I gave the Buddha my fruit, the golden-colored Sambuddha, sacrificial recipient. The teacher, standing in the sky, then uttered this verse / about me, because of this gift of some fruit, with intention and firm resolve, for 100,000 eons, he'll come to know no bad rebirth. By means of just those wholesome roots, I did experience happiness. I've attained the unshaking state, beyond all conquest and defeat. In the 7th aeon ago, I was the king Sumagala, a wheel-turner with great power, possessor of the 7 gems, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Phaladāyaka Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Phaladāyaka Thera is finished. 128. Asaka. I resided on a mountain, in the Himalayan mountains. Having seen some pure white sand, I recollected the best Buddha. Knowledge has no analogy, neither does meeting the teacher. After learning all the teaching, one is set free by that knowledge. Praise to you, O well-bred person, praise to you, ultimate person. There's no one who's the same as you. In terms of knowledge, best of men. Having pleased my heart in knowledge, I thrilled an aeon in heaven. During the eons that remained, I completed that good karma. In the 91 eons since, I obtained that perception then. I've come to know no bad rebirth, the fruit of knowledge perception. In the 73rd aeon, one named Pupphathūpiya was a wheel-turner with great strength, possessor of the 7 gems, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Asakathera spoke these verses. The legend of Asakathera is finished. (129) Gandhapupphiya, the golden-colored Sambuddha, Vipassī worthy of respect, honored by all his followers, set out from the monastery, having seen the best of Buddhas, the omniscient one, undefiled. I did scented flower puja, happy and with a happy heart, due to that pleasure in my heart. For the biped Lord, neutral one, again I worshipped the thus gone one, happy and with a happy heart. In the 91 eons since, I offered that flower to him. I've come to know no bad rebirth. That's the fruit of Buddha puja. In the 41st aeon hence, the Kshatriyan named Vara was a wheel-turner with great strength, possessor of the 7 gems, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Gandhapupphiya spoke these verses. The legend of Gandhapupphiya is finished. (130) Padapūjaka. In the Himalayan region, there's a mountain named Gautama. It's covered with various trees, and the lair of a great group of ghosts. In the middle of that mountain, an ashram had been constructed, surrounded by my own students. I lived in that ashram back then. Let the student group come to me. Let them bring me a pink lotus. Let us do a Buddha puja. For the biped Lord, neutral one. Having assented, yes, sir. Let's. They brought a pink lotus flower. Making an occasion for it, I offered it to the Buddha. Then, assembling the students, I thus advised them thoroughly. Don't you ever be neglectful. Be diligent. Bring happiness. Having thus advised those students, who were patient about my words, and bound to diligent virtue, I passed away there at that time. In the 91 eons since, I offered that flower to him. I've come to know no bad rebirth. That's the fruit of Buddha puja. In the 51st aeon hence, there was a king, Jalatama, a wheel-turner with great power, possessor of the 7 gems, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Padapūjaka spoke these verses. The legend of Padapūjaka is finished. The summary: Sereyya, Pupphathūpiya, Payas Odaki Thamaka, Asani Phala and Sani.
Ganda Ainler Padumapapia.
5 more than 100 verses, preached by knowers of the meaning. The Sereyya chapter, the 13th.